In the realm of video games, good versus bad titles have been of great discussion since the dawn of such technologies, except back when it went kinda like this. This Pong game was better. No, this Pong game was better. No, this Pong game was... Now, we live in a world where there are more games than drinkable water, and it's pretty insane. So the discussion for which games suck to which games are amazing is a lot more subjective. What if I told you that a game that most fans would generally agree is a masterpiece actually sucked like a baby with a pacifier? Or like an old man with a pacifier. Ladies and gentlemen, Persona 3 fucking sucked. Oh my god! Okay, before you start spamming hate comments saying that Persona 3 is the best video game of all time and that any and or all criticisms are actually racist and sexist and misogynist and bigoted and stupid, let me point out that many of these complaints come from the most unlikely of sources. Facebook groups. I'm not kidding. The majority, if not all of these complaints that I agree with are from the same place where people shared information like microchip in COVID mask or how to get Buzz Lightyear's 6-inch action figure out of your asshole. But a lot of these critiques were fair and quite interesting. A lot of the Persona community has generally agreed on most of these complaints, as I did too. So let's get into them. But before we do that, a few things. First things first, like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video. And also, there was a good number of people who laughed at the question I asked, which I'm assuming means that the question was so inherently, stupefyingly funny to them because there are no complaints about Persona 3, to which I say, grow up, you babies. Every game has its flaws, even the outstanding ones, so don't get upset when I start making fun of the game. Let's begin.
What kind of fool do you take me for? He's Squidward, he's Squidward, you're Squidward, I'm Squidward! Are there any other Squidwards I should know about? Meow. I'm out of here.
By far, the biggest complaint I got was about the lack of party control in the game. I definitely agree with this complaint. It is a huge pain in the ass playing this game with a bunch of brain-dead fucking AI. You really should have healed me. That would have been preferred. You should have fucking healed me. That would have been real nice, Yukari. That would have been a smart idea. The realism behind not controlling your teammates is understandable. In real life, you don't control your teammates directly. You give them commands and they follow them from their own perspective. The human aspect of having that system makes total sense. The problem arises when you realize that your teammates, in this case, are about as smart as Big Show from Knucklehead. And since the title is called that, figure it out. I mean, this was the year 2004. What were these idiots expecting from AI? At this point in technology, AI was smart enough to pick up and put down an apple, not figure out whether I need healing or use Marin Karin, you fucking bitch, fucking Umetsuru. There are cheats that you can use on an emulated version of the game where you can take direct control of your party members, just like in Persona 4 versus Persona 5. Huh? That's not the right video. The PSP version of Persona 3 also allows you to directly control your teammates, but that's at the loss of the rest of the game looking presentable. But hey, at least we have FemC.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit? How are you not in fucking school?
Tartarus being bland was the second biggest complaint I got, and I kinda sort of agree with this one, but there needs to be some context. It is true that Tartarus is basically the same linear design over and over and over and over and over.
5 minutes later.
And over and over and over and over. But that isn't necessarily a Persona-only problem. Plenty of games that came out on the PlayStation 2 were linear. In fact, I recently reviewed Manhunt, which came out 3 years before Persona 3. The video, if you want to watch it, it's going to be top right corner. And I would agree with anybody who says that that game has a linear design. Almost every game that came out before the 2010s had linear designs, so it wasn't a Persona issue so much as it really was a creativity issue in the gaming industry. That being said, that doesn't excuse Tartarus from being so bland that it reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. For a building as big as the fucking Eiffel Tower, you would think there'd be some variety, but the only thing that changes is the color and the floor design. Overall, Tartarus fucking sucked, but at least it wasn't the only game that suffered at the hands of stupidity. This next one, however, does.
I'm so close to solving this crime, I can almost taste it. Boy, crime fighting sure makes me hungry.
Are you not subscribed to Bluestuff? Channel analytics say 90% of you aren't, so it's time I tell you about the benefits of subscribing. You can get updates on when my next video comes out. See what I post in the community tab, like polls or questions. Question why my channel name is Bluestuff and why it sounds like the ejaculation of the blue guys after a circle jerk. Gain immortality. Get some bitches on your dick. And more. So subscribe to Bluestuff today. Warning, none of the propositions are guaranteed. Although, if the immortality thing happens to you, let me know.
I love to play with my... Say it! Balls!
I wanted to include this next one with the previous segment about Tartarus, but I figured this would be better on its own just because of how weird it really is. For those who don't know what status changes are, I'm looking at you, Persona 4 and 5 fans. I'll explain. Status changes are basically the overall condition of a certain character or the protagonist on a certain day. The tiers of status are great, good, tired, and sick. The other options weren't complained about too much, but the sick feature is what many people hate with a burning and everlasting passion. The reason being that getting sick will prevent you from performing at full capacity in Tartarus, and the only way to get rid of it is to not explore Tartarus for about a week. On top of that, exploring Tartarus for too long can also get you sick. It's a lose-lose situation. Obviously, everyone would hate this. It's basically a cock block. Why shouldn't I explore Tartarus? What's the point of having sickness? Do I become somewhat immune to it after it's over the first time? There's no reason as to why this exists other than because Atlas wanted this game to be as realistic as possible. It's not the worst thing in the world, but even the developers knew that status changes were ridiculous considering that Persona 4 and 5 both don't have that. So what did we learn, kids? Never explore dangerous, blood on the wall, shadow-ridden schools turned big-ass strip clubs for too long.
Oh, I want to be the mom!
I don't think you can be the mom, Patrick, because you never wear a shirt.
You're right. If I was a mom, this would be kinda shocking. Just call me Daddy!
Everyone can agree on the fact that STREGA, or STREGA, I used to say STREGA, I'm just making that point now, for some reason wasn't ever expanded upon, ever. That not once, not even in subsequent Persona games that weren't the main stories. STREGA obviously deserved a more developed story considering they were the main antagonists of the Persona 3 movie and are a big part of the plot of the game. I think this comment by Sizimon on my post sums up what I think about STREGA. I also think that STREGA members should have been given more character because except for Chidori, they're kinda bland. Their battles are also way too easy, which makes it hard to take them seriously as a threat. The members of STREGA should have been fleshed out better, and their battles have taken more seriously considering their major presence throughout the game. Although, I will admit how odd these characters truly are. I'm looking at you, Jesus wannabe. In all my years of being a Persona fan, I would have never thought that people had criticisms for one of the most beloved Persona games of all time. But not only did you give me a bunch of critiques of the game, you also had more than one. You listed them. You were so pissed at reliving the past that you misspelled words and made sentences hard to read. You even laughed at my post. You guys were locked and fucking loaded. It's fair to say that Persona 3 wasn't a perfect game. By all accounts, this game was a bona fide mess that just so happened to get people's attention. And while I understand the liking to it, I personally never connected to Persona 3 like I did 4 and 5. That isn't to say that Persona 3 was hot garbage in areas where it didn't shine well, like with STREGA or the godforsaken social links it made up for in its revolutionary style and intriguing overarching plot. We have to remember the difference between what Persona 2 Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment looked like and what Persona 3 looked like. The difference is night and day. But every game has its flaws. Therefore, Persona 3 fucking sucked. Thanks for tuning into today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and press that red button next to my channel below this video. It'll take you to these exact coordinates. From there, you will receive further instructions from my friend Babushka. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.